And greed is that insatiable desire for more. We look out at what others have and we think, man, I'm missing out. We think our joy, we think our peace, we think satisfaction is tied to stuff. But Jesus kind of unpacks that it's not. But then Jesus says, hey, therefore I tell you, don't worry about your life. So after addressing greed, Jesus addresses worry. And often we think about worry, we think about in our kind of culture, in our context, we think about worry in the broad scope of the word. That worry is kind of letting your mind run away with all the thoughts and the possibilities of what could possibly happen in a situation. But I just want to point out, when Jesus talks about worry, I don't think he's talking about worry in the broad scope of the word. I think Jesus is talking about worry here in a very narrow, defined definition of the word worry. He's not telling you, don't worry about your life, what you will eat, or about the body, what you will wear. So again, what's he doing? I think Jesus is saying don't worry, but worry in the sense that we are worrying about stuff, that we're worrying about, hey, where's our next meal going to come from? Or we worry about our clothes, or we worry about our possessions. I mean, that's the context that Jesus is delivering this teaching. And so I want you to notice how worry and greed are very similar. Okay, greed is the belief that what I have is not enough. And think about worry. Worry is the belief that what I have is not enough. See, greed kind of looks at what I have and says, hey, that's not enough. There's more out there, and so it desires more. Worry also looks at what I have and says, man, I'm not sure that's enough. I'm not sure that's going to last through tomorrow or through retirement or through this next year or through this next season. And so it begins to worry and fret over what is already in one's possessions. And so greed and worry are different, but they're kind of like sibling sins. They are so closely related. And I don't think it's by accident that Jesus is talking about both of them in the same setting. And I don't think it's by accident that Luke brings them up in the same passage as well. And so let's go back. When Jesus talks about greed, what does he say is the truth that helps us combat that? He says, look, your life is not in the abundance of your possessions. So he's saying, look, be on guard against greed. Why? Because your value is so much more than your stuff. But notice what Jesus does when he talks about worry. He says, don't worry about your life, what you'll eat, or about the body, what you will wear. Notice this, for life is more than food, and the body more than clothing. Guys, Jesus does the exact same thing. What he does to address greed is the same thing he does to address worry. He brings it back to this perspective about the value of our life. He wants us to know, look, don't be greedy because God deeply cares for you. That your care and your value is not dependent on your haves and your have-nots. The same thing with worry. You're worrying about what you have, and you're worried if you have enough. But don't you understand how deeply God cares for you? Like, that's the antidote. That's the truth that frees us from this concept of worry. Again, worry in the scope of when we worry about things and about our possessions. And if you read on, Jesus kind of goes into some illustrations. He talks about the birds, and he says, hey, doesn't God feed the birds? Don't you see, and doesn't creation bear witness to God's care for this smallest of creatures? Man, how much more does God care about you?